Good morning and welcome back. It is the Vine Morning Show. Here we are on a Tuesday morning. I'm Mark. It's great to have you along this morning, and we welcome our viewers on our Vine television this morning on YouTube and also cable TV channel 15, as we have a couple of guests with us this morning. From the Wayne County Health Department, we have Catherine Singleton and Pat Scarbrough. And ladies, good morning and welcome into the Vine Morning Show. As Catherine is in the middle of a sneeze, that always happens. It never fails.
Never fails.
All right. Well, good morning, ladies, and welcome in. And glad to have you guys with us this morning, as it's a busy time of the year for you ladies and also the Wayne County Health Department. And September is a very important month, right?
Absolutely. It's National Preparedness Month for nationwide.
And we're preparing for
any type of emergency.
Any type of emergency. And, we and Pat and Catherine, we take that for granted because you don't think something's going to happen, and you hope and pray nothing happens. But it's always better as to prepare, as this month is very important about.
Right.
And it's stocking up is what's important.
It's stocking
right?
up, but it's also just making a plan. So much of what preparedness is planning, and it's making a emergency kit that you would have, stuff in your home or plan, what happens if this happens, what do I do? And not just for yourself, but for your whole family so that they know, and especially when you have kids, what happens if this happens while you're at school? What do you do and who do you contact and things like that? So it's really just about planning, and so much of it's just discussion. It's like, just sit down and have a talk with your kids about, if a tornado came, what we would do, or if, a fire or, bad weather and things like that. So it's so much of it, it's just really planning and just thinking about and talking about it, and then kind of when it's in your mind, then when it actually happens, and at least there's something in there so that we can kind of come back to and say, okay, I remember talking about that and thinking this is what I need to do, and then you have a jump start, because we just really, there's nothing worse than just being completely unprepared when something happens and just kind of waiting for someone to come help you.
Yeah. What's, ladies, and Catherine, let me ask you this, and what's the most thing that people neglect when they prepare? Like if they put a kit together, or what do they forget and they don't talk about in a situation when it comes to preparing at this time of the month for September, which is Preparedness Month?
Well, I think a lot of times people forget to prepare for their pets. They have pets and they forget to prepare for that. They don't have extra good food, or they don't account for water for that pet or anything like that. What are you going to do? And then the other thing too is, I think with infants, what needs does an infant have? The diapers and food and those kind of things, and you've got to make sure that you're prepared in that way also. And just to kind of think through, because there's special needs there.
Sure.
Infants need different things than children do. So I think those are a couple of the things. And then I think also senior adults. How are you preparing for the senior adults in your family, in your life? Again, more special needs. Do I have enough medicine to last 2 or 3 days in reserve? That kind of thing.
You were talking about the pets, Catherine, and one thing that's important whenever you have a disaster, and you hear this all the time, ladies, whether it be a tornado or a flood or an earthquake or something like that, you read and you see where these pets, they run off. And sometimes they're stranded to where, okay, here's a dog or a cat, and there's no way of identifying whose pet that belongs to. And that's really hard, because you see a lot of times at that time when something happens, a lot of animal shelters are filled up with pets because of that reason.
Exactly, and that's that's part of planning for a pet. It's just in the same way that you would have information about your kids. You can actually just take like a little photo album kind of thing and just put in there, this is your pet, this is its its name, picture of it, and the rabies record, the shot records and things like that, even for the animal. Just have that in one, just in your little kit, just like you have everything else. And that way, when it does come time, if you get separated from your pet, you can go out and find them. You can take a picture and say, okay, this is my pet, here it is. And now I think, some pets now have chips and different things like that in there. And, that if you're truly, concerned, that may be something that you look into, is, to make sure that you're not separated from your pet, because, even in that time, a pet's a family member, and you want to be comforted by that. So you want to be able to find them and be reconnected with them.
Sure, exactly. And you said, you mentioned updating them just like your kids. Their shots are very important as well, having all that information. And one thing I think people don't stock up enough of, and I'm guilty, I think we're all guilty, is food and water. That's very important at this time, whenever to stock up, and a good reminder as well.
It's a good reminder. It's kind of that, we're getting ready we'll come up pretty soon to time change again. We'll fall back, is that right?
We'll fall back.
We'll
Yay.
fall back.
Easy to remember, fall back, yeah.
The, a few years ago they started a campaign, which when we do fall back, you change your batteries in your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors at the same time, and those two things go together. You should also use that time to recheck your kit and check your food. So if you put food in your kit, make sure it's not expired, and just kind of rotate through and rotate your water through and things like that. But, just think about looking at that amount of food that you have. If you have a kit and it's that time of year, go in there and look and see, okay, well, that's not really very much food. Or you have things in there that you can't actually, it's somewhat perishable. Or, just maybe you have something in there and you don't have a can opener. Oh, I need to put a can opener in there. So it's just a great time to kind of sit back and also just look through your kit and review it and see. And not just a kit in your home, but a kit in your car. For when you're out, because right now it's hard to believe that soon we'll be cold and snowing at some point, but we'll need that in our cars as well. So it's just kind of that, it's a perfect reminder time to just kind of sit back and let's look through this again. And it doesn't take that long, not even an hour of your time, a couple of times a year to kind of go through that and make sure. Check your batteries. Batteries are a really important thing to have in an emergency kit, but fresh batteries. It doesn't do you any good to have the batteries when they're dead. So you need to make sure that you have fresh ones in there, and that's a great time to rotate them through. Those are just kind of just little things that you can do just to kind of make sure that your kit's ready to go when you need it. And this is the perfect time to do it, and this is kind of why we're out to kind of remind people, just okay, look at all these things, that they're small little things, and it's all you have to do. It's really quick.
I saw someone who had put a kit together one time, and I had also heard, well, where can I put everything together and put it in my car or in my home and everything? And someone come up with the idea of, hey, use a plastic tote, clear plastic tote, so that way you can actually visually see from the outside looking in instead of opening up the lid, and you can tell, kind of judge where you are on your supplies, and that's a good point.
Yeah, just having it in one spot. I mean, we know that some people use trash cans because you can put a lot of stuff in a trash can, buckets, different things like that. And a bucket in an emergency serves multi-purposes. So things like that you might want to be able to think about. So it's not just putting it up on the shelf. It's really just having it in a way that, and especially if you need to move it. If you do, an emergency happens and you need to be able to move it around, you want it portable enough that you can move it wherever you need it.
Yeah, and this is an important time of the month. It's September. The whole month of September is Emergency Preparedness Month. And what are they telling people to stock up most of? We've mentioned non-perishable food, but is there anything particularly that they stress that you should get?
The thing that they're stressing this year is planning. It's more of the have a plan for your pets, have a plan for your kids, have a plan for your parents, those type of things, and really discuss those plans. Because we've talked so many years now about kits, and we think that people are putting kits together, and we feel like we're confident that they understand that part of it, but then they don't understand about like bank accounts and medicine and things like that. It's more of that. Okay, we've got these basic things down, but let's dig a little deeper, because it may take we may need some more resources than what we have, and it's telling your kids. These are what this is what you do, and I think, and even in some cases, one of the things that we have been really focusing on is like out of town contacts. Phones in the way that they are now. Social media will be used in an emergency more than anything to be able to contact people out of town, and it's so that they know that you're safe. And it's kind of those kind of plans. Is who are you going to contact, and so that you don't have to spend all your time contacting, all these people. You can just make one call to one person or one Facebook post or something like that. But it's got to, just kind of come up with what you're going to do to let people know that you're okay.
And something else too, and we don't think of this, is if you live in a neighborhood where you may have some elderly people that still live in your neighborhood, and maybe they don't have family close by,
Right.
Catherine. It's
Right.
good to go out and reach out to them and say, hey, I want to help you out. I want to be your contact person if something happens. Who can I contact for you if I need to get a hold of them in an emergency? And sometimes you have to reach out to some of those people like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I live in a neighborhood where there are several senior adults that, could use that kind of help. And then a lot of times they don't have the smartphones or even a cell phone, or if they do in that kind of a situation and you get flustered, you forget how to use it. And so those would be good things to do, is to make sure that you know who in your neighborhood needs help, and then have a list of people that you could help contact. That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
But actually, that's kind of one of the things this past year at the health department we've been trying to work on is our special needs registry. And people who live by themselves, or are elderly or things like that, those are the kind of people we want to include in our list, so that we can kind of put them into contact with someone who can help them in that time too. So we're still accepting names for our special needs registry. That's a continuing thing, so that'll go on. Every year we'll update it. But as if somebody comes along and hears about it, they can be added to the list. So when an emergency happened, it may be as much as just a phone call to them, or if we can't get to them on phones, a visit, a well check kind of thing to see if they needed something, and then put them into contact with an organization, social services type thing that could help them meet their needs during that time. So that's something else we're trying to promote this month as well, is just continue to think about this. And people think that I don't qualify to be on a registry like that. I don't have I'm not in a wheelchair, or I don't have all these different needs. But your need is that you're alone, and we want to be able to help with that need. And hopefully someone's going to check on you, but we want to really work harder to make sure someone does check on those type of people.
Yeah, and if there's someone out there, if our listeners know of someone that needs to be placed on the list, or they're not sure, they can call you guys and find out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. All
Yeah.
they have to do is call the health department, 842-5166, and we can take care of it.
And you'll register them, and then basically you just need their name, where they live, what kind of meds, all that stuff.
Well, actually, we don't need that much detail. We just need to know where they are, how to contact them, and just basically what they're, if it's that they have a medical need, or if it's just that they're, alone, or, kind of what that basic need is, so that we know how to best help them. If it's something that's medical, we keep track of that. All the power companies and things like that keep track of that as well. So they handle that end of it. But at least this way, we can kind of just account for what we might need, how we might need to be able to help them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the month of September, Emergency Preparedness Month. And if people want information, they can call the health department. They can register. What else is going on at the health department, ladies, that you want to talk about?
Well, Preparedness Month, we talk about it in the sense of for national, disasters and things like that. But it's also preparedness for flu seasons coming up.
That's right.
And so we've started our flu clinics. Our flu clinics are there at the office. We also have some off-site flu clinics that will be throughout the county. We're trying to spread out and be wherever the people are. So those will be starting, I think those don't actually start till October, the actual on-sites.
The on-sites, actually, you can walk in and get an adult flu. Walk in anytime and get an adult flu shot. You don't have to make an appointment. If you want to get a child flu shot, you need to make an appointment. But we will be having off-site clinics, and they start actually in the end of September, 22nd, 29th. We'll be here in Wayne City. I can't remember the exact date, but we'll be here in Wayne City when people can get their flu vaccination and get taken care of that way. But like Pat said, that's part of being prepared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Any kind of shot, your tetanus shots, anything like that you want to make sure that you have before you get into an emergency situation. I remember back when the big flood happened in St. Louis, I was living there, and I was out doing some helping with some stuff, and I got cut. Well, it had been who knows how long since I'd gotten a tetanus shot, so I had to quit what I was doing, go out. They gave me a tetanus shot there. They had a mobile unit, but it's kind of one of those things. Had I been prepared, that would have not had to been a big deal.
Wow.
So just even staying up on those things and making sure you know what your tetanus is and those kind of things. And part of that Tdap shot that they call it is the whooping cough, and making sure you're prepared for that. Like if you have infants or something in your home, that you're not passing that pertussis around.
Yeah, exactly. And I had someone ask me here last week, actually, ladies. They're getting ready to go on a missions trip overseas, and that's another one. If people are going on vacation or overseas, they can come in and get a shot, update their shots. Right?
They can. A lot of times, I was looking this up last week on the CDC website. A lot of times, out of the country, they would like for you to have a hepatitis A shot at the very least, and depending on where you're going, you might need typhoid or yellow fever. Those are the ones that we have. If you want to call them exotic shots, we have typhoid and yellow fever. Now you need to call in and give us some time to order those shots, but we can get them and take care of you right away. But you're right, being prepared when you're on vacation, that kind of a thing. And the hepatitis A we have all the time. So you can come in and get those shots and be prepared for your vacation or your mission trip.
And that's something we just started offering this past year.
Yeah, I remember.
And we do that for any type of travel overseas. What we can offer, we will offer, and that's a good service to people who do mission trips and things like that, or just people who like to travel. And that's just a function, a natural extension of what we'll do at the health department is try and just do whatever service we can that falls within the realm of public health. And we do so many different things at the health department. I did a farm safety day last week, and I asked kids, what do you think we do at the health department? And, and they just jump up and like, you give us shots. It's like, yeah, but we do so much more than that. It's like, and, I was doing a food safety lesson. It's like, then we're able to talk about food and, and how we do food inspections and water inspections and things like that. So we do so many things. We have so many services at the health department that we offer that, sometimes people kind of get sidetracked and you only do this or that, but we do so many things.
With the let me mention this real quick, if you don't mind. With the fall season coming up, a lot of festivals, and a lot of people will be like non-for-profit booths and stuff, and there's proper cleaning techniques, sanitation techniques, and if they have questions, they can call you and ask, right?
They can, right? And that's one of the things that, all of the fall festivals and things like that are inspected by our health department. Our environmentalist, Bill J. Bruce, comes out and he inspects them, but he gives them all that kind of information and hand washing and all of that, and gives them a temporary permit for that and things like that. So he's very busy this time of year, and but it's also a way that we try and ensure that our public is safe.
Right.
Yeah, because I know there's people that want to put on these festivals or put a booth out on these festivals, and they don't know the proper techniques or way to go about it, and they can contact the health department and ask questions and get all the guidelines on what you need, and here's how you put it out, here's what to expect when I come to visit you, as Bill will do, and inspect.
Exactly.
And he'll give you all the tips and everything.
Right, and it's it's just a great way to just get information, and that's we're there for so many purposes.
Yeah.
And we just want to be able for people to know that and come out and use our services.
Even the preparedness thing, I think people wouldn't think the health department would be necessarily worried about preparedness, but we are.
Yeah, because in situations, not only does the hospital, the police all work together, but the health department's mixed in right in the middle because it's all vital. Everybody has to work together to make sure the right resources are getting where they need to be.
Absolutely.
And the fire department in as well. So September is the Emergency Preparedness Month. And if you have any questions, call the health department. Catherine, what's the location in case people don't know?
It's 405 North Basin Road. I was losing.
You just know how to get there.
I lost the number. Yes, I lost the number. We're behind Brookstone Estates, and then also we'll be at the Fall Fun Fest next week, and we'll have our booth out, and we'll have a bunch of emergency preparedness information, that kind of a thing,
and some giveaways.
Right, some good giveaways. We've got some little mosquito repellent cloths that you can use that are disposable, those kind of things, and then also we'll have emergency kits.
Yeah, and we're giving away some emergency kits and some Red Cross radios this year and things like that. So we're really just trying to get people to start thinking about these things, and whatever it takes for people to come talk to us, then we're happy to talk to them. And the other thing too is we are located there in Fairfield behind the Brookstone Estates, but right now, starting today, we've adjusted our hours. We're open from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday. Will be that's a temporary thing. Hopefully, that's related to the state budget. We're a county agency, but we do have money that passes through the state that comes from the federal level that right now is being held up in the budget. So, we're feeling the crunch of the budget. So some of our services, we're still trying to offer all the services that we have. We're just going to have to kind of cut back a little bit on the time we're spending on it. So we're still going to try and give immunizations and services right up to 5:30 or as close as we can to it,
Right.
and still serve as many people as we can. But we're doing what we can.
Sure.
So we're hoping that this is temporary and we'll be back to full steam and full everything else
Soon.
quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah, the health department in any community is very vital.
Right.
Yeah, if you can't ask questions of your doctor, you can call and ask the health department, and you guys can direct them the best way. That's right.
So make sure you come out and get your vaccinations, all those good things, and help us to do our job.
Yeah, and visit the ladies at the booth at the Fall Fun Fest.
Absolutely.
Where are you going to be at, ladies?
We're
Do you
in
know yet?
Be in the chamber tent.
Chamber tent usually.
Okay.
We're usually down on the end.
Yeah.
So-
We haven't gotten our exact location yet, but we're usually down toward the south end of the tent.
We're usually by the popcorn guy.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go. Yeah.
usually.
So go to the popcorn guy, and if you're there, you've got all kinds of goodies and everything
do.
you'll hand out. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thanks for coming in today
Okay.
and talking about September being Emergency Preparedness Month. Very
All right.
important. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's Pat and Catherine from the Wayne County Health Department this morning here on the Vine Morning Show.